Hi guys, welcome back to another tutorial. So today I'll be taking you guys through how I made this beautiful underbust corset with flared sleeve. So if it's something you are interested in, just keep on watching and let's get started. So for this top, we are going to be drafting on our pattern paper first, and as you can see, the first line I drafted is about 1 inch, so that would be a guideline for my shoulder slope. So as we know, this top is going to be having a zipper at the front, and right now I'll be drafting about 1 inch for my zipper allowance at the front. So I'm just marking 1 inch all the way down, as you can see. So I'll just use my ruler to connect the points that I marked. So like I mentioned earlier, this first line is for my shoulder, and now I'm going to be dividing my shoulder by 2. You can see where I'm starting from. I'm starting from the line that I marked for my zipper. So my shoulder divided by 2 will give me 8, and now I'll come down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be marking my neck width, and I'll be using 3 inches for that. And you can see where I'm starting from. I'm starting also from the zipper allowance that I left. So I've marked it 3 inches, and right now I'll just go ahead and use my ruler to connect. So I'm connecting the 3 inches for my neck width, the 1 inch for my shoulder slope. So next I'll be marking my armhole measurement, and I believe we all know how to do that. If you don't know, all you need to do is divide your bust circumference by 6 and add 1.5 inches to it. So my own is approximately 8 inches. Right now I'll just go ahead and use my ruler to connect like so. And I also extend this line like as well. So the next thing I'll be doing is that I'll mark my shoulder to my bust point, which is 10 inches. Then next I'll mark my shoulder to my under bust, which is 14 inches. Then next is my shoulder to my waist. My shoulder to my waist is actually 16 inches, but I'll come down by 1 inch and make it 17 inches. So the reason I'm doing it is because this waistline is going to be a Basque waistline, so I don't want it to be on my exact waist. So that's why I'm using 17 inches instead. So right now I'll just go ahead and connect those points that I marked, and I will just label them. So this is my bust point, my under bust, and my waistline. So right now for the back waistline, I'm going to be coming down by about 6 inches from my waistline like so. So depending on how long you want that back to be, you can extend it to about 7 inches. For me, I'm going to just use 6 inches. So right now I'm just going to connect it like so. So this will be like the full length of my blouse. So next I'll be taking my armhole curve, and all I need to do is divide this line into 2 and come in by about half an inch. So I'll just go ahead and connect it to my shoulder slope like so, and I will measure my bust circumference divided by 4. So whatever that gives me, I'm going to go ahead and mark it on this armhole line like so. So when I mark it, I'm going to use my curved ruler to make a curve. So this will be my armhole. So right now I'm going to be marking the neck depth of this top, and remember that the neck actually stopped at the under bust. So right now I'll use my ruler to make a connection from my neck width down all the way to my under bust. So it's going to have like a V shape, so you can see how I'm marking it. So now I'm just going to extend this line like so, since that's going to be our zipper allowance, and the upper part we're going to have to cut it out. The only part that we are using is the down part that will be from the under bust. So right now the next thing I'll be doing is I'll take my nipple to nipple measurements. So I'm going to take it on my bust point, my under bust, my waist, and on the full length of the dress. So my nipple to nipple measurement is 8. 8 divided by 2 will give me 4. So you divide your nipple to nipple into 2. So I'm just going to go ahead and connect it like so, and I will also go ahead and mark it on the full length of the dress. So I will also mark the 4 inches here like so, and I will use my ruler to connect. So right now I'm going to be connecting my shoulder point to my bust point, and by doing that I'll divide whatever it is I have on my shoulder like so. So I have 5 inches and I'll divide it into 2. It will give me 2.5 inches. So I'll use my ruler to connect that 2.5 inches I marked. I'll just connect it to that nipple to nipple point that I marked on my bust point like so. So right now I'm going to be taking my body measurement, and the first thing I'll be doing is to take my bust measurement. I've already taken my bust measurement on my armhole, so the next thing I'll do is just add 1.5 inches for my sewing allowance. Then I'll come to my under bust and take my under bust circumference divided by 4. Then I'll add 1.5 inches as well for my sewing allowance. I'll be doing the same thing at my waist as well. So my waist, I'll divide it by 4 and I'll add 1.5 inches for my sewing allowance. Right now I'll just go ahead and connect the 3 points together. That's from the sewing allowance. I'll just connect it together like so. And please remember that when I was taking my body measurement, I started from the zipper allowance, not from the edge of the paper. So right now I'll be connecting my back's measurement. So I'll connect my waist to that point like so. Just watch how I'm doing it. I'm using my curved ruler, not a straight ruler. So if you want it to be straight, you can mark it straight. So right now I'm just going to use my ruler to connect it to the waistline like so. So the next allowance I'll be adding is my shoulder allowance to avoid any shortage. So I'll just be adding 1/2 inch and I'll just use my ruler to connect. So we are done drafting, and right now I'm just going to be cutting it out. So the first part I will cut out is my under bust. I'm cutting this out because the upper part is going to have a little bit of gathers at the part. So right now I'll just cut all this part off like so. So we are going to be using a slash and spread method for this upper part. So I'll be cutting this lower part as well, but before cutting I want to extend my basque waistline a little bit. I want it to be a little bit longer. So if you want yours to be like that as well, you can just add about 1/2 inch to it as well. So right now I'm going to be cutting off this part because I'm going to be adding allowance to each part of it. So I'll just cut it off like so, and I'll go ahead and label it. So this will be my center front and this will be my side front. So please make sure you label it so you don't get confused when you're cutting on your fabric. So right now I'll open up this part like so. Remember I said we're going to be using the slash and spread method for this part. So I'll just go ahead and open it up all the way like so. So make sure you don't cut through when you're cutting, when you get to the shoulder I mean. So right now I'll just go ahead and place a piece of paper in the middle like so. So I'll go ahead and spread it on this new piece of paper. So depending on how much you want your gathers to be, you can as well spread it up to 3 inches. So for me, I'm just going to be using 2.5 inches. So if you want yours to be more than that, you can extend it to about 3 or 3.5 inches. So right now I'll just use this tape to tape it down like so all the way up. So please make sure you take your time while doing this. So just tape it properly. So now I'll just go ahead and trim off this part because I'm not going to be needing it, and I'll trim off the excess paper at the top as well. So this will be the new front piece. So now we're going to be drafting out the back pattern, and the back is not going to be needing a zipper allowance like the front. So I already marked my bust point and my waistline. Those are the only 2 measurements we are going to be using. We're not going to be needing the under bust. So I'm going to do the same thing I did at the front. I'm going to divide my shoulder by 2, which will give me 8 inches, and I'll be using the same neck width I used at the front, which is 3 inches. I'll come down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope like I did at the front, and I'll use my ruler to connect that 1 inch to my neck width. So right now I'll be marking my armhole measurement, which is 8 inches like I did at the front, and I'll use my ruler to connect that 1 inch from my shoulder slope to the 8 inches I marked. So I'll just go ahead and extend this line like so. So the next thing I'll be doing is to divide this line by 2, which will give me 4 inches. And like I did at the front, I'll be measuring my bust circumference. I'll divide it by 4. Whatever it gives me, I'll mark it on my armhole like so. So for the back, we're not going to be going in by about half an inch like we did at the front, because the back is always different from the front. So right now, I'll just go ahead and make a curve like so. So this will be my armhole curve for the back. So right now we're going to be adding our darts for the back, and I'll be doing the same thing I did at the front. I'll divide my nipple to nipple by 2, which will be 4 inches, and I'll mark it on my bust point and on my waistline. So I'll just go ahead and connect those points like so. So from this bust point, I'm just going to come down by 1 inch. So I'll just mark that 1 inch on my dart line like so, and I'll go in by half an inch on both sides on my waistline like so, still on that dart line. So I'm just trying to get the dart for the back. So right now I'll just use my ruler to connect it like so. So now I'll be using 1.5 inches for my neck depth at the back. So I'll just mark that 1.5 inches like so, and I'll use my ruler to connect. So right now, I'll just go ahead and use my curved ruler to make a curve for the neck part. So right now, I'll be taking my body measurements, and as you know, I've already taken my bust circumference on my armhole, and I'll be adding 1.5 for my sewing allowance. On my waist, I'll be taking my waist circumference. Then this dart that I took, I'm going to add it to avoid any shortage, which is 1 inch, and I added 1.5 inches for my sewing allowance. So I'll just go ahead and use my ruler to connect like so, and that is it for the back of our dress. And I'll be adding half an inch for my shoulder joining, that's for the allowance. To avoid shortage, I'll just add half an inch like so and connect. So right now I'll just go ahead and cut it out. So we're done with the pattern drafting, and the next thing we'll be doing is to cut on our fabric. So I'll be using this beautiful Adire fabric for my pattern. You can see how nice it looks. So the first thing I'll do is just fold it into 2, and I'll place my pattern paper on it. So the first pattern I'll be cutting is the back pattern, and like I said earlier, please place your fabric on fold. So I'm going to go ahead and pin it down first. As you can see, I've done that already, and I'll be adding about 1 inch for my joining allowance. So this 1 inch I added for my allowance, I did that because I wanted the back to come down a little bit. So if you don't want yours to be like that, you can just use about a half an inch for your sewing allowance. So for me, I'll just be adding extra half inch to my actual length of the top. So right now I'll just go ahead and cut it out. So this is the back of the dress, and right now I'll be cutting out the front. So for the front, my fabric is on fold as well, and I'll be adding half an inch to this part of the fabric. So make sure your fabric is on fold when you're cutting. So I'll be adding half an inch there. I'll be adding half an inch to this part as well. So those are the only places I'll be adding the allowance. So I'll add my allowance and I'll connect. Then I'll go ahead and cut it out. So for the center front, I'm going to place my fabric on fold as well. I'll be adding my allowances to the top, the side, and the lower part. So just watch how I'm doing this. So I'll be adding half an inch to the top, to the side, and to the lower part. So I'll just use my ruler to connect it like so, and I'll go ahead and cut it out. So remember that this part is for the zipper allowance at the front. So right now I'll be cutting the side as well, and I'll be adding half an inch allowance. And please remember, my fabric is also on fold, so I'll add half an inch to the top, to the side, and to the down part as well. So those are the places I'll be adding my allowances to. So now I'll just use my ruler to connect and cut it out. So I went ahead to cut out my lining for all my pieces of fabric, and I added a paper stay to each of it. So right now we're going to be attaching our fabric together. That's the pieces we cut out. We're going to be attaching each and every one of it together. So please remember not to get confused when you're attaching. So the first part we'll be doing is the center front and the side front. So I'm going to be using 1/2 inch that I left for the allowance to join it together, and I'll be doing the same thing for the lining as well. So I've gone ahead to join them together, and this is what I have, as you can see. So right now I'll just open it up like so. I'll open the part I joined and I'll iron it. I'll do the same thing for my lining as well. So after ironing, this is what it looks like. You see how neat it is. So I'm just going to trim out this excess at the joined part. I'll just trim it out. I'll do the same thing on my lining as well. So I went ahead to use 1/2 inch to join my lining together with my fabric for the center and side front, so you can see what it looks like. So I didn't join the side, so after joining I'll just bring it out like this, as you can see. So you can use your scissors to bring out that pointed part, and just take it to your ironing board and iron it properly. So this is what it looks like. So right now I'll be joining the side, and I'll be using just 1/2 inch to join that neck part. So I'm just going to do that all the way down. That's the only part I'll be joining for the front, for the upper part of the front. So I'm going to do that on the other side as well. So after joining it, I'll just take it to my ironing board. I'll open it up like this and give it a proper press. So after ironing, I will also go ahead and attach this place together, so it will be easier for me when I'm joining. So after ironing it, I went ahead to mark my 1 inch for my zipper allowance. As you can see, I also overlocked it. So what I'll be doing right now is that I'm going to place the upper part like so. So I'm going to be starting from that 1 inch. Then I'll go ahead and pleat it like so. I'll just pleat it, and I'll use my pin to hold it down like so. So you can as well run a gather stitch if you want to, but me, I would rather just pleat it. So I'm just going to pleat it until the upper part and the lower part are the same length. So I'll just pleat it together like so. So right now you can see that the upper part and the lower part are the same length now. So you remember that I didn't start from the edge at the lower part. I started after the 1 inch for my zipper allowance. So right now I'll place the middle of that place I pleated. I'm going to place it on my dart line like so that it will rhyme. So see, just watch how I'm doing it. I'm going to pin it down and take it to my sewing machine and sew it. So this pleat is going to be on that dart line at the lower part. So please, if you don't understand, you can as well replay the video. So this is what it should look like after joining. This is how it should look. So I'll take it now to my sewing machine and join it together. I'll be doing the same thing for the other side as well. So this is what I have after ironing it, and I went ahead to iron down my 1 inch that I left for my zipper allowance. So this is how I'll be attaching my zip. At this part, I realized that the down part was showing, so if I finish attaching my zip to be showing, so what I did was I just pressed it in a little bit. I folded it in a little bit for me to be able to attach my zip. One other thing I want to mention is when you are using the zip, please make sure you use a detachable zip. Please make sure that it will be easier for you to wear. The zip I'm using is a skirt zip, so it's not detachable. So I'll advise you use a detachable zip when you're doing this. So now for the zip, you will notice that in the picture I posted, the zipper is not visible. So I'm going to be showing you how I did it. The first side I actually attached the zip the normal way. But on this second part, just watch how I'm doing it. I'm just going to place my top on top of it like this. Then I will use my pin to secure it this way. I'll just use my pin to hold down the fabric with the zipper like this, unlike how we normally fix our zip. I'm not going to do it that way because I don't want my zip to be visible. So this is how it should look on the inside. The one part of it will be of the allowance will show more than the other side. So this is what it will look like on the inside. So I'll just go ahead and attach it. So I'll just take it to my sewing machine and run a stitch on it. And this is what I have. You can see how neat it looks. You can see how it looks. My zipper is not showing, so this is how yours should look if you don't want your zip to show as well. So like I said, I'll advise that you use a detachable zip. I had to change the zip later on because I didn't have a detachable zip. It will be easier for you to wear it that way. So right now I'll be joining the back of this material. I'll be joining it with my lining, and what I'll do is that I'll just place the front of my lining on the front of my material, and I'll join the neck, I'll notch it, and I'll iron, then I'll join the lower part. And this is how it looks. I use 1/2 inch to join the lower part, and this is what I have. I also went ahead to iron it. This is what it looks like. So at this point I'll be adding my dart for the back, and what I'll do is just to fold my piece into two like this. That's my back piece. I'll just fold it into two. Then I'm going to measure 1/2 inch downwards from my shoulder slope. Remember that 1/2 inch is my sewing allowance that I left. I'll just mark 1/2 inch, and I'll mark it all the way to my bust point. My bust point is actually 10 inches, but remember I came down by 1 inch, which will make it 11 inches. So I'll mark 11 inches like so. Then I'll go in by 4 inches. That will be my nipple to nipple measurement like we did on our pattern paper. So right now I'll be doing the same thing on the lower part as well. I'll measure the same 4 inches, and I'll go ahead and use my ruler to connect both points together. So next thing I'll be doing is to take 1/2 inch on both sides. That will be for my dart. Just take 1/2 inch, and I'll go ahead and use my ruler to connect it like so. So I'll be doing the same thing at the other side as well, and I'll take it to my sewing machine and join it. So after joining, this is what I have for my dart, as you can see. So right now I'll be joining the shoulder for the front and back piece, and this is how I'll be doing it. I'll place both pieces on top of each other like so. Then I'll take the shoulder, I'll now fold, I'll flip the lining like so. That's the lining of the back piece. I'll just flip it like so. So the front will be in the middle of the lining of the back and the main fabric of the back. Then I'll use 1/2 inch to join it. So after joining it, this is what I have. I went ahead to join both sides, and this is what it looks like on the inside. So before joining the sides together, I'll be cutting out the sleeve for this dress. Remember, it's a flared sleeve. So what I'll be doing is I've already cut out my basic sleeve pattern. It's a long sleeve. I've cut it out. So I'm going to be using the slash and spread method for this sleeve. So what I'll do is I'll just mark 1.5 inches like so. So you can as well mark 1 inch each if you want to. So I'll just go ahead and draw a straight line each like so. Just watch how I'm doing it. So at this point I decided to add one more line so that I can be able to spread it well. So right now I'll just go ahead and slash through like so. Make sure when you're slashing you don't cut through the sleeve. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this. So now I'm going to be spreading on my fabric, and my fabric is on fold, as you can see. So right now I'll just go ahead and spread it. I'll use my pin to hold it down. So make sure the edge of the sleeve is touching the edge of the fabric like so. So the only part you'll be spreading is the remaining 3. So now I'll use my pin to hold it down like so, and I'll spread it as much as I want to. For me, I'll be using about 2.5 inches to spread mine. So the spreading totally depends on how wide you want your sleeve to be and how much fabric you have. If you don't have enough fabric, I don't think you should spread as much so that your fabric will not come out short. So this is what I have, and right now I'll just go ahead and use my chalk to trace it out like so. So now I'll be adding 1/2 inch as well for my sewing allowance as I'm tracing it out. So I've gone ahead to add my allowance, and I'll go ahead and trace the sides as well. So at this point I'll just cut it out. So now I'll just remove my pattern paper, and I'll cut out another piece for the second side of the sleeve. So right now I'll be notching the middle of the sleeve so it will be easy for me when I'm attaching it to the top. So now I'll bring my top and that part I notched in the middle, I'm just going to place it on my shoulder like so. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to place it. I'll use my pin to hold it down, then I'll go ahead and attach it to the sleeve. So I'm done attaching it, and you can see what it looks like. I also went ahead to overlock. So now I'll be joining the hem of the sleeve. I'll just go ahead and fold it. I'll use about 1/2 inch to fold it in and join it together. So right now I'll be joining the pieces together with my body measurement, and I'll be using my pin to hold it down first before joining them together. So I'll be starting from the sleeves before joining all the way to the hem of the top, and this is what it looks like after joining and after ironing it. You can see how beautiful and neat it looks. Please, if you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to share and like. You can also subscribe if you've not subscribed to my channel. I really appreciate it. We've come to the end of today's tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video, and please, if you have any question, don't hesitate to ask in the comment section. I'll be glad to answer your questions. Thank you again for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.